God Usopp debuted on One Piece Treasure Cruise Global on the 27th of September 2017. This Sugo-Fest was unique for global players at the time as it introduced the first instance of guaranteed legend step-ups on Sugo-Fests. This batch introduces some of the characters that assisted the Straw Hats in reuniting at Sabaody Archipelago following the time skip, and those characters include Elizabeth, the Straw Hat Pirates conspirator, Perona, Straw Hat Pirates conspirator, Heracles, Straw Hat Pirates conspirator, Duval, Straw Hat Pirates conspirator, as well as Silver's Rayleigh, Straw Hat Pirates conspirator. The Sugo-Fest exclusive character of the batch featured a character that would make the previous best delay character in the game obsolete, with a powerful special that could be stalled for further turns to gain access to even better delay mechanics. However, this was the first Sugo-Fest exclusive to be given a super evolution on debut, which provided slightly different mechanics in their captain ability as well as their special. Introducing God Usopp. In this series, we'll be traveling back in time to experience some of the older Sugo-Fest exclusive characters in their prime, aiming to show just what it was like to use these characters on their debut. I hope you enjoy the video, and without further ado, let's enter the Legends of OPTC. Thank you very much for joining us for another episode of the Legends of OPTC, and today we're covering a Sugo-Fest exclusive which I'm not really the biggest fan of, and I don't think too many people out there were that big of fans of this character either, and this was kind of a monumental occasion because this was a character that people wanted to see as a Sugo-Fest exclusive at some point, and interestingly enough, they decided to give the character a super evolution upon initial release. So yes, this character and their super evolution debuted at the exact same time, because this character had differing effects when you decided to evolve them, so getting multiple copies of this legend was actually kind of advised. But let's go ahead and break it down batch by batch. So the first character here is Elizabeth. This entire batch was focused around the return to Sabaody initially. So let's go ahead and have a look at Elizabeth, which was obviously one of the characters that helped the Straw Hats reach Sabaody Archipelago. Dex, Fighter Free Spirit, Captain Ability, Recovery in Health by 1.2, Rainbow 2.5 times attack after you hit in the order of Strength, Dex, and then Quick. A pretty bad captain effect. And then the special ability recovers 13 times recovery in health and adds 0.5 to the chain multiplier, reduces all enemies defense by 100% for one turn. This was definitely used in some scenarios. 100% defense reduction is always a useful effect to have, but the rest of the effect is kind of I mean, a 0.5 chain boost and a little bit of recovery back. You know, didn't see a lot of play, but there were some niche uses where removing the enemy's defense was useful for sure. Now, the next one in this batch is Perona, which of course helped Zoro reach Sabaody Archipelago. Perona is actually a pretty good unit and was used actually a fair bit for a long time until we got better utility characters, but int shooter driven, captain ability was 30 cost or less characters get 2.25 times attack and 1.5 times recovery, and then her special, which was pretty good at the time, reduces all damage received by 90% for one turn, reduces the defense of all enemies by 80% for one turn, and then reduces damage threshold and percent damage reduction by 2 turns. So as I said, you know, utility wasn't a big thing back when these characters were coming out, so the fact that this character removed some of the enemy's defensive effects, this was definitely used, and depending on what type of content we're playing today, we could definitely go ahead and use this as well, so that's pretty dope. So Perona, a pretty interesting character, used in shooter teams, used in driven teams, definitely, and then also used in int teams as well, was actually a pretty good unit. The next character is Heracles, which again is another one of the characters that helped Usopp reach Sabaody Archipelago. He's a strength striker shooter. Captain ability was a 2.5 attack boost to strength, HP of shooter and striker by 1.25, pretty bad. Special ability would cut the HP of each enemy by 20%, changes the right column slots that are type slots into matching for shooter and striker characters. Such a weird special. Like, I don't understand why he just doesn't change them for all characters, or, you know, instead of just, you know, just the right column, just do it for the whole crew, for all striker and shooters. It's just a very bizarre effect. The 20% health cut was okay, but this is a really bad rare recruit considering the times. Duval also made an appearance in this Sugo-Fest batch, being a Psy Slasher Free Spirit. Captain ability, reduce the cooldowns by 3 at the start of the quest, boost the attack of Psy by 3 times if they have a matching slot. So this is basically like the OG rare recruit marker, except that it also provides a 3-turn cooldown cooldown reduction as well. This character wasn't really used as a captain though. And then the special reduces all damage by 50% and then boosts the attack of Sai by 1.75. Not an awful effect at all. If you're running mono Sai, this is definitely a character you could use. Like hypothetically, if you were still trying to run like a Stronglord Shanks as your captain for whatever reason, this is a character that you could definitely use. Not too shabby, but again, wasn't really used all that much. An interesting rare recruit nonetheless though. And then the final rare recruit of the batch before we talk about the legends is going to be Silver's Rayleigh, a quick slasher cerebral with a captain effect of boosting attack of quick by 2.5, 1.2 health at the start of the chain as well, and then also you get a 3 times attack boost after the 4th consecutive perfect, which is pretty difficult to do, and it wasn't really the best captain. If you want to run a quick team, characters like, you know, Marco, Boa Hancock, I mean, even like running Kuzan as like a rainbow captain, and the fact that he's a quick unit are definitely better options comparatively to Rayleigh. And then you've got his special, which is actually pretty good. It changes all slots, including block, into quick slots. We have not seen many characters in the game that could just change a full board of slots, and the fact that not only does Rayleigh do that, but he also does it through block slots as well. This was definitely one of the first units in the game that was capable of doing this, and definitely saw a little bit of niche usage for sure. If you're running a mono quick team, you know, using this on a boss stage to get a guaranteed full board of slots was ridiculously useful. And then we get to the man himself, God Usopp. Now this character, man, I've got some things to say about him, but I really wish that they really went hardcore in the other direction, because this unit is definitely more of a gimmick rather than an actual good legend. But I personally wish that they went more in the other direction of him actually being worthy of the title of God Usopp. Like, I actually wish this guy was an absolute GOAT. Unfortunately, he's not the best legend out there, but let's go ahead and break him down. He's a deck shooter. He has no secondary class, which is already a huge red flag for the character. His captain ability will boost the attack of all characters by 1.5 if your health is below 50%. You get a 1.75 times attack boost instead if the HP is below 30% at the start of the turn. He also makes all colored slots and recovery in tandem beneficial to all characters. So all the natural slots are always going to be beneficial if you're using him as a captain. But the problem there is that you have to use him as a captain, so you get this really bad multiplier. So running double Usopp is not really advised. It's definitely worth, if you want to run it, that is, definitely run a hybrid scenario is the best way forward, which I believe we're going to be doing in this video today. Now, Usopp's special ability was very reminiscent of Golden Pound Usopp, where you just have a simple 3-turn of delay, and it's actually multi-stage. Stage 2 will delay all enemies by 4 turns and gives a chain boost, and then his Stage 3 special is a 5-hit delay and does a 0.3 chain boost for 4 turns. Yeah, so Stage 3, I mean, a 5-turn delay and a 0.3 chain for 4 turns, it sounds cool, but it just didn't really see a lot of play, and especially when you think about it today, like how often are you realistically using a special that delays the enemy? Not too often, and if you are using it, it's typically going to be a special that can go through immunity buffs, and of course Usopp doesn't provide that. So Usopp is just not a good character, but as we said, he does have a super evolution that debuted at the exact same time as his Sugo-Fest release. So this was the super evolution that you could go ahead and get access to, which was going to be Captain Usopp, The Great Adventure of Usopp the Man Chapter 2. So here we go with the time skip Usopp legend, and his captain ability is slightly different. Instead of being a rainbow captain, Usopp is going to be boosting just shooter characters by 1.5 times if you have below 50% health, and once again 1.75 times attack if you're below 30%. He also makes all the slots matching once again for shooter characters, and at the beginning of each stage increases the attack timer of all enemies by 1 turn. This is a really unique mechanic. This was the first character in the game to have this mechanic. If you guys have ever used Legend Hawkins as a captain, he also has this effect. Whenever you enter a new stage, all the attack timers of all the enemies automatically get clocked up. So, you know, if you have an enemy on a 1-turn cooldown, they go up to a 2-turn cooldown. And this is not classified as a delay, so you can't use like a delayed conditioner boost when this effect is active. It just clocks up their timer, doesn't count as a delay, goes through all immunity buffs as well. It's a pretty unique effect, but of course the fact that you have to partner this with such a terrible attack multiplier, and this is what I'm saying, like, imagine if all of this was the same, but like maybe it's like 2.5 times below 50% and like a 3 times below 30%. Like, this guy would actually be amazing on release. but unfortunately they decided to not go too crazy with it. As for his special ability, they've actually done something a bit different too. It is no longer a multi-stage special. It gives a 10% health cut, and if all enemies have a debuff protection or a delay debuff protection, it will give them a 1-turn delay through immunity buffs. If they don't have any delay protection or immunity protection, then it's going to be a 3-turn delay instead. So it's pretty cool. It's basically 10% health cut, 3-turn delay. If they've got an immunity buff, so they don't get delayed in the first place, it's just going to give them a 1-turn delay through immunity buffs. I like it. I think I definitely prefer 6+ Usopp. He's definitely like way better. On release though, I think a lot of people definitely opted to use just the regular Usopp because the Golden Pound Usopp effect was so useful. And delaying through immunity buffs wasn't really that important back then either. In a lot of instances, you could get away with just doing a regular delay. So a lot of people were opting to just use regular 6-star Usopp. But of course, you know, once time progressed and when 6+ Usopp was the better version of the two, at that point, people just stopped using him in the first place because he's really not that strong. But I'm really interested to see how we're going to go ahead and use him today. I don't think we're going to do a wheel. I'm just going to try and select some content and see what we can come up with in terms of taking on this man, God Usopp, against some content. I don't know how it's going to go today, but I'm excited to use him. Who else is it? I keep forgetting. But definitely Kizaru, Akainu. I'm pulling up right now. Okay, so I'm pulling for Kizaru, Akainu, Usopp. Usopp's another one. Either, like, if I can pull 2 Usopps, I'll definitely take that. And then Sanji, Neko, Boa are the ones I'm missing here. So, we'll see what we get from our first ultimate pull. It's gonna be low rate, or is it gonna be a stock standard? It's gonna be Usopp. All right, yes. All right, that's cool. That's definitely one of the ones I wanted. Definitely taking Usopp. All right, and I got, I think I got some books for him, so we can potentially skill him up. But let me know down in the comment section down below if you guys did get some Sugo-Fest exclusive pulls. Make sure to go ahead and tell me in the comment section what you guys got. But that's awesome. At least we got a new legend. I'm completely fine with that. Now the second one is gonna be a red. And it's gonna be another Usopp.
You even said you'd be bad with 2 Usopps.
I would not. I'm completely fine with that. Hell yeah! But now I need another green skull. So I guess that's what the Dofu was there for, to actually go ahead and get a green skull for that Usopp. But that's awesome. Awesome. I'll take 2 brand new Usopps. Shout out to Toilet who actually did that last Blitz battle. But that is awesome. So hopefully you guys did enjoy this video. Let me know down in the comments. So we're here with my man, God Usopp, or the 6+ version of him, saying that he is the Straw Hat Pirate's sniper, standing strong against his foes on Fishman Island. He declared that this was the second chapter of his great adventure, and it being a far cry from his first one, which saw him fleeing from the very sight of Fishman back in East Blue. So here we are with Usopp, of course. This is the 6+ variation, which I am opting to go for because I feel like his captain ability is going to give us a bit more of an advantage moving forward in this quest. But of course, his captain ability only really provides the boost to shooters. So we're going to be building a shooter-based team here. So with these characters, we've got Zephyr, we've got Van Orga, we've got the Raid Boa Hancock, and we've also got the Peruna, which I think actually might come in a little bit of use here. But we're not going to be running double Usopp, unfortunately. No, I know a lot of people are really excited to see a double Usopp team, but we're not opting to do that in this video today. What we're going to be doing instead is we want a little bit more firepower for our shooters. So what we're going to be doing is we're going to be using Stronghold Ace as our friend captain for this quest here. So I'm very excited to jump into it. We're going to go ahead and choose a somewhat of a difficult raid to take on, at least for Usopp, that is. So we're going to go ahead and take on Clash Kizaru today and see how we kind of perform with this team. I'm very excited to jump into the video with you guys today, showing off God Usopp as the captain. Let's jump into it. And shout out to TheLordShiro for putting up his Stronghold Ace as our friend captain here. Now, you can see here that this is a bit of an obscure team, something that you wouldn't see too often, but looking at the ship as well, the ship is the Kizaru Cannonball ship, which actually gives a 1.55 times attack boost to our shooter characters, which is actually pretty good for a ship back in like 2017. Also gives a small health boost and reduces the cooldown of our characters by 2 turns at the start of the quest, and it has a special ability that can do a 7% health cut. Just a really good ship. If you're building a shooter team back in the day, this is a very, very good ship to use if you want to speed through content. So this is our team today. Very excited to jump into it. Let's go. Let's get it. And here we go, Clash Kizaru Glint, which is the 60 stamina version. And you can see here that all of the enemies' counters did go up, and with the captain ability of Usopp, we have all of these matching slots right here. One thing to note though is that I actually don't own a duplicate of Legend Usopp, so we had to opt to use my one that I currently have at, you know, Rainbow level, which of course Limit Break wasn't a thing back then either, so hopefully you guys understand, but I just don't have a duplicate of that character. But let's go ahead and jump into it and see what we're able to do. Now, we don't have to do that much stall, because the way that this team is aiming to work is we're going to get to the final boss stage and just kind of take our time with the boss. So I feel like we probably don't need to do that much stall. Now, the characters on this team are pretty cool because we've got Zephyr, who gives us a multi-turn attack boost. We've got Boa Hancock, which can give us a multi-turn chain lock. And then we've also got Van Augur, which unfortunately isn't a multi-turn orb booster, but is an orb booster nonetheless. And then we've got Peruna, which is going to be a pretty nice utility character for this team, because what happens on the final stage of Kizaru is that certain intervals he's actually going to apply a couple of turns of damage threshold, and there aren't many characters in the game, at least at this point, that were able to remove damage threshold. Luckily, with the release of Usopp, we have this Peruna character which can actually remove it for us, which is perfect. So that's really, really good. The combination of Usopp and Ace together is also something that's very interesting, very fascinating, because Ace is a character that needs you to have matching slots. If you've got a matching slot, 3 times attack boost, no matching slot, I think it was 2 times attack boost. So with Usopp and Ace, you're able to provide the boost to Ace all the time. So he's consistently giving you the 3 times boost. But of course, with Usopp having essentially no multiplier, it is pretty bad. You know, you take the good with the bad, because he only gets a 1.5 attack boost below 50%. If you're below 30%, you get 1.75. So we hope that when we get to those turns, we want to do as much damage as possible, that we're below 30%. So we can do as much damage as we possibly can to this boss here. And we'll see how we go with that. Love these matching slots. It's so satisfying seeing matching slots pop up every single turn. It's crazy that they've never really revisited a character like this that has this innate effect to just make everything beneficial to you. It is pretty absurd when you think about it, man. It's so nuts. We probably don't need to stall anymore here. We're just going to go ahead and pass the turn here. Get that recovery slot just to make sure that when we get to the final boss stage versus Kizaru, that we have as much health as possible so we can tank as many hits as possible. So this stage is going to be a bit of a pain. So we have the Pacifistas. Now, ideally, I think we're going to take out the Strength one. I remember back in the day when this first came out, I can't remember which color it was, but one of the colors of the Pacifistas, if you didn't take out in the first turn, I'm pretty sure something bad happened. So hopefully we can get something happening here. Okay. Now, I will say that we got pretty lucky with the fact that we have a lot of characters with barrier penetration. Of course, barrier penetration was not a thing when this first came out. I think the blue one was actually the character I was supposed to kill. I thought it was the strength one. Unfortunately, it was the blue one. So we have 9 turns of paralysis here. Now, I don't know. I really don't know how much, whether the fact he actually does that again. If he does paralyze our friend captain again, that could be very problematic. So I guess we'll just kill him here because we don't want to deal with any more gimmicks. So if we're able to kill him, okay, we actually hit through the paralysis there, which was pretty lucky. Okay, dude, the Pacifistas is so annoying. They're so tanky, especially when you don't have much of an attack multiplier here. No damage until you hit 3 perfects in a row, so that's not very fun. At least we're clocking up their attack timer, which is pretty good. Let's go ahead and kill this character first. Move on to this one right here. Attack with that int character to get that type advantage. And then Ace is going to be paralyzed, unfortunately. But we have quite a few turns to take him down. Unfortunately, paralysis again. There we go. And then Boa. Nice. Alright, so we've already made it to the final boss stage. As I said, unfortunately, having 4 turns of paralysis on our friend captain is actually awful, so I hope it's not going to be a huge detriment here, because Ace having type advantage here is very important versus Kizaru. So that's annoying. Dex characters get their special reverse. That's not really going to be a big problem. We actually will probably use the ship special in the next turn as well, because that'll give us a 7% health cut. And if you're going to use a health cut, it's better to use it when the enemy's HP is at full, so that you get the most out of a health cut, right? Also, this Usopp that we have on our team is also a health cutter. He does, like, I think it's a 10% health cut. Yeah, so because the enemy does have the full immunity buff to delay, we actually could get away with using that as well, just to get as much damage as we possibly can off. So let's go ahead and just do our regular attacks, and then hope that Ace is able to hit, just so we can get extra damage off. He unfortunately does not. Okay. So Kizaru's turn 2. Changes slots to badly matching or just shuffles them around. Okay, that's not a problem. We use the ship special to get a bit of a health cut there. We can use the Usopp special, but remember that the fact that enemy does have a delay immunity means that we actually do get the guaranteed delay. So I think I actually might keep the Usopp special. When we're getting, you know, a little bit down on our health, we may actually use that there. So we're going to keep that for now because the guaranteed delay, no matter what, could literally be the difference here. So we'll just do some normal attacks once again. And then once we're getting ready, once we get him a little bit low, we'll activate our burst. Because the thing about Kizaru is he does revive, right? He does revive, which is pretty annoying. So this is what I was talking about a little earlier, damage threshold on the Kizaru here. So we want to make sure that we can actually remove that. But at this point, I don't know if I want to remove it yet. Maybe we can remove it when he applies it for the second time, because I believe he cycles through all of these events here. So we can just like pass the turn here because we're not going to do any damage to him. Well, actually we probably could have actually, because the Sai and Int characters do still do damage to him. It's just strength decks and quick characters that don't do damage to him. Again, blindness, technically speaking, I don't know if crewmate effects were active at this time. I really should have researched that as to when crewmate effects were applied to the game, because that is a big difference there, the fact that the blindness is actually removed. Okay, so that's going to happen, but then these characters will have full damage. So I think, are we going to be below 50% now? Yeah, so we're below 50%, so this means that Usopp is actually going to be providing us with the 1.5 times attack boost this time. We're going to remove the Despair because we have sockets, that's not a problem. So let's go ahead, do our normal attacks once again. And now we should be doing slightly more damage. Okay, so it's nearly 700,000 there. Okay, we're getting really low on HP right now. Okay. Let's go ahead and use the Usopp special, which is going to cut his health by 10%, as well as get the guaranteed delay. And I think what we'll do is we'll do one more turn of normal attacks, and then on the next turn, we're going to do our burst turn. I feel that's probably the best way forward here. We don't want to get him below 20% because I believe he's going to like instantly kill us here. So once again, he applies the damage threshold. So we're going to go ahead and remove that with the Peruna special ability, removing 2 turns of damage threshold for us so that we can do as much damage as we can. It also provides a damage reduction effect, which is pretty good. Can't be understated. Now we'll activate our burst. We've got the Zephyr special, the 1.75 attack boost for shooters for 2 turns. We have the Boa Hancock, which gives us the 2.5 times chain lock for 2 turns as well. And then we also have the Van Augur, which provides the 1.75 times orb boost for only 1 turn. But as I said, he does revive, but I can't remember how much health he revives with. We could also use the Ace special as well. I think I will use the Ace special. I mean, locking the orbs doesn't matter, but it's the fact that it does damage, and it's also the fact that it also cuts our health. So now that we do have the biggest damage output possible with Usopp, so this is it here. We should be able to get the win. Let's see. Oh my god. Okay, we had a lot of damage there, actually. That was a lot. Okay, so he's going to revive. Now die. So he has an attack boost, and he didn't do anything. And we still have our attack boost, we still have our chain lock. Now, we don't have the orb boost still, but I feel like this should still be okay. So let's go ahead and secure that dub. Let's go. There we go. Let's go. Let's go. We got the 6+ Usopp with Strongwood Ace as the friend captain, getting through the Kizaru boss fight. I mean, look, it's not the fastest team in the world. You're not going to use it all the time to clear content, but it's still pretty satisfying to use not the strongest captain to beat a piece of content. It's pretty satisfying, and I'm really, really glad that we got to do that with Usopp today. That's wicked. So with all that being said, that is going to conclude yet another One Piece Treasure Cruise video. Thank you very much for watching the episode of Usopp for the Legends of OPTC series. Next week's episode, we're going to be covering one of my personal favorite Sugo-Fest exclusives in the game's history, and that is none other than V2 Lucci, an absolute monstrosity of a character, extremely powerful, and I'm very, very excited to go ahead and showcase him for you in next week's episode. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this one today, and if you guys did, make sure to go ahead and leave a like, and if you want to stay up to date with all the content that I post, including more One Piece Treasure Cruise content, make sure to hit the subscribe button down below. But on that, guys, I'll see you guys within the next video.